So it's interesting. This is where I've been, and I've done a lot of training in the very traditional sense, being a foster parent, training through CASA, um, watching my grandmother be a foster parent, and yeah, so a lot of energetic work, the metaphysical work, the medical intuitive work. So what I've done out of all of that is whittled down to the least invasive that we can be in this situation, right? So here are some of my teachers and the most impactful of the books I want you to take a look at. This one's new, actually. I just ordered it for myself, too. This guy, like, I started studying with him about 8 years ago. I'm like a level 3 for him. And he sees more than any human being I have ever been face to face with in the environment. And so that physics of miracles, right, is the quantum physics, like how can this be duplicable, right? And I learned a lot from him, and this is one of his newest books. Donna Eden with the energy medicine, she is the expert in combining like acupressure points.
Is that the one where she has one for women too?
Yeah, she has one for women. Did I give you those books one time? Yeah. And, you know, The Science of the Mind by Ernest Holmes, that book changed my life personally. It's very much about the programming of the brain and what have you. And the intuitive advisor, Dr. Mona Lisa Schultz, was a psychiatrist, and she started really noticing the connections between the physical ailments and then she started studying with some of the medical intuitives, and this book is also phenomenal. You notice I have that right here, right? Because this book, just in a corner, huh? Yeah, but what's cool about this book is if somebody comes in and they've got chronic right hip pain, you look up right hip pain, and he's pretty dead on it every time. So if I'm stuck and I can't get to something, yeah, it's like this guy that like worked with people for years, and it was just a compilation of like, oh, when people, I got it with a course I took.
Can I buy it?
I think you can buy it. I think it's on Amazon.
Cool.
Yeah.
This is good shit.
Yeah. So, you know, these are like references, but like I was telling David, like, you know, I got to the point where I had so much information and so many tools that when I was working with somebody, I was thinking about what they needed rather than being what they needed. So that's a thought, right? Like it was almost like I had to throw it all to the wind, right? And know that whatever I needed would show up rather than be thinking about what I needed to do.
Before or after sessions, or while you're in there with them?
While I'm in there with them. You know? So I really want to look at time and trauma again, guys. This is the backdrop of, or the foundation of what makes quantum different, right? So, you know, we've got a person that is growing in an average support, not average, it's averages, mediocre or below, right? So a good family, a well-supported family, right? They're going to go through life And they're going to be supported, and complexity of thought usually enters around puberty. Right at that point where their body is starting to react to things, and you know, that space of having to choose, do I want this person to touch me? Do I want to go here? Am I being, peer pressure and all that? It usually starts showing up around the age of puberty, right? And then they start being able to um, operate within those choice options, those alternate timelines, right? And they're going to make mistakes, hence the splits. But it's once a person has that strong foundation, this root, they're pretty resilient, right? And they're going to be coming back to a pretty strong limb, right? Each time, right? Then we've got this person over here that's just like, popping out of the ground, stomped on, popping out of the ground, stomped on. And those fractures, like they're starting to have to think, like maybe at 5 years old.
He's dramatic.
This dog is something else. I tell you what, we're going to put that up here right now, all right? And they're starting to have to think at maybe 5 about what this kid is thinking about at 13.
Yeah.
Right? They're going to have to start thinking and trying to understand why their body is reacting and their mind is screaming. Or, that they understand and can see a situation clearly and the adults aren't responding. Right? They're like having to figure out their own safety, right? While this person is playing in the dirt, right? So that is the difference in the resilience. Now, what we really have to think about is that this person, look how much they're bouncing around. There's no, they don't know. Actually, oftentimes they'll say, like, I end up in situations and I feel like I don't have the script, right? So to me, that's reality hopping. That's like you're walking into a situation, you disassociate, you hop over a few frames, and suddenly nothing is the way it was, slightly, right? And that happens to people with PTSD, right? They'll walk into a room, maybe lay their keys down, walk back out, come back, and their keys are gone, right? So this constant shift in their reality makes them feel like they are crazy. When in reality, it takes very little for them to just go, I'm out of here, boom. And they're over a few frames. And it's usually like the situation is, speaking from experience, the situation is very similar, but you feel like you walked onto the wrong set of a play. Right? Where everybody's doing one thing and you're standing here going, wait, I was in Jane Eyre and y'all are doing proof, and these are the words I have right now. And these people feel like that a lot. And they actually will even say, yeah, I reality. So they don't ever know where they are.
And most times they experience like trauma on top of trauma, but there's no chance to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just been like one hit after the other. Now, the interesting thing, it's as if their brains are only programmed for suffering, right? So they can't read the good that's around them, right? They can't remember any good moment in their lives, right? And there were, right? So as we start putting out these fires, that is what keeps me safe, right? Is when they start remembering the good things, right? We're going to meet Brooke today, which I'm excited because, I've taught the class with the same two gals, but I've got some new folks coming in. So Brooke has alternate personalities. Now, in the beginning, when Like as soon as she would sit down, boom, and it was like this. It was like this weird head thing she would do it, and she would be back. So anytime I was working with her in the beginning, I was working through the child, which I'd never done before. Right? But it was the dominant fracture. It was the dominant fragment of her being. Does that make sense? Like there were more molecules in that fracture than there were in the life force that was trying to sustain her. Right? So the first 2 times I met with her, and I didn't even get it on film because I had no idea. After these first 2 visits, I started like filming her. So you will see like 3. After the first 2, what was beautiful, and it's been an adjustment for her, is that the altars aren't showing up. Because there's enough weight in her life force that she can go back and claim dominance in that situation, which is super friendly, right?
She really is dominance. Her main part of herself.
But no, I'm sorry.
The bigger part of her, the bigger fracture.
Well, when we
go
take
back.
her back, what was happening was when I would take her back, like the fracture, the fragment, had more weight than the life force that I was taking back. So when I would take back her grown up self, it was weaker than this, right? So this is what would take charge. So I never had to do that before, but like the child would come out and they were like, "Are you integrating me?" I don't like it. No, I don't like her. Right? Like that's how I was doing it. Like she's boring. Like you know what I mean? Like it was like a teenager, like talking about their mom or something. Like, I'm not going back there. Like no. Like so I had to work through the child and then have her go back and back in and integrate. So it was interesting. I've not ever done that before. But what I find beautiful is that after 2 alternate integrations, Brooke is doing it. Like I haven't seen anymore. Now, it's been interesting for her because she's used to them coming out and taking care of it. Which is a weird thought, right? But she is used to them taking dominance when she's uncomfortable and fighting. So we've had to do some maneuvering around, that you didn't lose them. Now you have that. Right? So on both sides, between the child self and the grown-up self, we're having to really talk about that level of wholeness.
You can be all of it.
Well, they're all you, right? So what if you could just have that and be that rather than having to disappear and let somebody else drive your car? And like I told her, I was like, listen, this little girl's 13. Is she really capable of making your adult decisions? Right? So, yeah. So, like, truly, like, we have to think about that. Like, when we're triggered, we're operating from that very young space, right? And there's a lot of weight on the shoulders of that child that's trying to take care of you. So, when we go in, there's a lot of like, yeah, but, we're grateful that you did, but we don't need for you to do that. You get to just plan, right? So here's kind of the lingo we're going to be using through this process, right? Disassociation in the most literal sense, right? Because in the psychological world, disassociation is an idea. Here, I'm really talking about the separation of the astral body from the physical body. So it's a very molecular disconnect, right? Now, astral travel is nothing more than an intentional out-of-body experience, which is no different than if somebody's having surgery and they watch the surgery, or they're in a coma and they're watching who comes visits, or they have a car accident. It's all the same thing, right? Now, quantum jumping, what I find different is when people are astral traveling, they're usually flying, like your daughter said, right? She's like, yeah, I'm flying, right? Like I can see the earth, like, versus an abrupt, like, boom, boom, I'm here. That's the difference between the two, right? And when we astral travel, it's more of a hologram. It's more of a projection rather than that molecular shift, right?
The process with me a few years ago, you had me fly up like that. Is that the boom boom?
No, that was different. That was more the astral travel, right? So I just learned the quantum jumping to get people to do that faster, right? So the quantum jumping is more of an abrupt transition of energy. Like I'm here and then I'm there, right? So I've had people that came from the Star Trek days that it's the beam me up Scotty, like boom.
Is it okay to use either one in classes and people, or you're finding it's best?
I like for them to jump. I usually project or travel.
I bet with jumping,
Like
there's
now.
less opportunity for thinking about where you're going to go.
I usually have them make a very clear picture before they go, right? Even in Doctor Strange, right? The clearer the picture, that's when they can.
Instead of what's the emotion and where are you?
Well, we do that too. But I'm saying when I'm ready to jump them, like that's all the process to get to know why they need to jump, right? That's different than actually jumping. When I get ready to jump them, like I want to know exactly where we're going. I want to make sure that I have the same picture that they have so that we're both going to the same moment in time, so I'm not directing them in any way, right? And then I project, they jump, right? Because when I project, I can peek in, I can come back. I can peek in, I can come back. A molecular jump, like, I had a man in here the other day that was just like when somebody truly jumps, they're like white. It's like jet lag, right? Because their molecules were here, and then they were over here, and then they were here, and then all within 10 minutes or so, right? So it's a huge. There's a lot. I started saying that. Yeah, yeah. Shit, right? So, and I think that we've really come out of a period where, like, time travel was thought of very differently. Like, oh, I'm going to go into this capsule and my whole body is going to go back, right? But even in the psychological world, the time travel is coming through, right? We know if somebody is flashing back, they are experiencing that incident like instantaneously, exactly as if they were there. Now, the difference with flashing back or a lot of the child work that's out there is that you go back and you are the child. That's the difference here, right? Is that objectivity of going back and being you and not being sucked into the story of the child, right? Because if you're sucked in now, and there's like, a space where I'm like, hey man, you're not the child. Take some steps back. Right? You are a grown up and you're here to rescue and calm this child. right? And you can't be that if you're being sucked into their emotion.
Otherwise, you're just reliving what happened.
You're just wallowing, right? So, being able to create that distinction for them through the whole process is imperative, right? Because our natural instinct is to get sucked back into that story.
He's not bothering.
To demystify the time loop, it is no different than our body creating a cyst around localized infection in our bodies. It's truly no different. So in time, we're creating a cyst around a localized infection, right? So that the space in between can be lived, right? I just did an interview the other day, and it was interesting that this came out of my mouth. I said, the explosions happened and we lived life in between, right? You couldn't live life in between if you were constantly aware of the fires, right? You have to put them away somewhere to be able to.
Because you literally get hot when you're
Oh yeah,
scared or angry.
yeah. Hence fibromyalgia. It's like, fibromyalgia is all those encapsulated places of heat in a person's body. So we'll find that as we release the heat on a person's timeline, the fibromyalgia disappears.
What happens in a person who has a child is having a healthy experience fear or anger? It doesn't stay in them because it's acknowledged, or they're just allowed to feel it.
Back to my daughter, right? Like in that experience where she was violated, and the guy was trying to kidnap her, and the whole situation. But there was a beginning and end, and the people that were on the planet to keep her safe. So it just went like, oh yeah. It was just a thread in the fabric of her timeline rather than this big group. Right? She had the words, because a lot of times with a child, they don't have the vocabulary, because in a home like this where this stuff is happening continually, it's not like the parents are like talking to the child. Right? So they don't have the vocabulary to even categorize that. So it's just like all their experiences are floating out here. It's like there's no organization in the brain. And, I remember when that happened, that like this filing started happening in my brain. And it was literally just like this. And it became where like there was a linear order that I could access. Where up to that point, like I may learn something today, I may like pass this test, and like because there was no, it's like if you had a business with a filing system where everything was just scattered around, you can't access it. Right, so that starts happening in here too. We start having this order, and the filing. There's almost every time there becomes a period of filing. They get freaked out by it. So a lot of us, the shifts are happening, we're like coming in over the top and saying, change can't happen without movement. And that's just like a phrase I say over and over again, right? Because as their systems getting an upgrade, there's a lot of energetic movement in those upgrades. That if you're operating from a place of fear, like I've got one woman who's like trying to activate, and she's so fearful that, every experience somebody's giving to her, rather than that your body is rising, your energy levels are rising. Like she's wanted ever since I've known her for her sight to come back. Right? Because she used to have great second sight. Right? But anytime energetically that tries to open. And a person that has sight usually is like, they have one eye that's dominant that they're always like looking at, right? Both of my eyes kind of do it, but you know, so hers is her left eye is always trying to open. And she's sure that aliens are inserting an object into her, right? A camera. She's sure. And I'm, what is happening is, recapitulation is the act of like rewinding your day. So her day will rewind, and she's sure somebody's like messing with time and rewinding her day. And, I'm like, it's recapitulation, right? You're wanting your sight to open, allow it. Just allow it. Because every time it starts working, you clamp down on it out of fear, right? So that's a big piece as they're starting to really activate, and like their ears, huge. Sound can be a barrage. It can be torture to some people, right?
So one place where you jumped with her and it helped, or she's still not able to.
No, because it's not a problem. Like, we wiped away all the PTSD. Right now, it's just like she's highly sensitive and she's a narcissist. We have to realize that if we are an empath and highly sensitive and we take every ounce of information that's coming in and make it be about ourselves, we are a spiritual narcissist. Right? So we have to start going, is this mine? And what do I do to affect it? Or is it mine to do to affect it? So I found this fascinating, and you might want to hop on. I don't know if you have Gaia TV.
Definitely.
All right, Dom and Her, which is
Is that all those little shows that you have on there? I've been meaning to watch those. I haven't had a chance to yet.
yeah, Dom and Her has a series on time.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely worth.
Is it a channel on YouTube? Is it free?
It's got it. I can do my direction.
Yeah, mine too. For sure.
Oh, you log in.
Yeah, you log on my stuff.
Like Netflix, but it's
It's all spiritual TV. Some of it's way out there. Some of it's way out there.
Yeah.
Some of it's, But I learned a lot. And they have done probably the most extensive research on time from this same very practical platform. When I watch that, now they work on time like the big fracture, like they're trying to heal collective fractures of time. Like Atlantis, the Great Flood, that period, right? They're trying to heal that. But in that, like they did talk about personal stuff too, which was exactly. So, yeah. So I loved though that they said, 1 moment equals 4 seconds, and every 4 seconds we're giving 4 alternate outcomes of choice. So 4 alternate different timelines for every choice, every 4 seconds. That's our game, right? Now, whether we make the choice or not, sometimes no choice is the biggest choice you ever. Because somebody else is taking your turn, right? So you can see where these people are like, reality hopping, and for every choice, right? And they're working in a timeline over here, and then they jump over here, and then they jump here. And some people are doing that like every few round of choices. Right? So they don't know what's coming and going a lot of times. Like the woman we meet today, like, she would like just be driving her car and then be someplace else. Or like remember being in her house and then being completely somewhere else in different circumstances. Now, a lot of people are taught using the word integration. And I'm going to have to find a new word because I use it very literally. And the psychology world right now is using it in the idea space. Like to me, where they're using the word integration, I call connecting the dots. Where they're filing that information, putting it where it needs to be. When I talk about integration, I'm talking about actually integrating the molecules back into the astral body. Actually taking these severed pieces of our astral body and bringing it
Why
back.
don't you switch integration and unifying?
Yeah, I probably should.
And that would take care of it.
Yeah, I've been using fusion too, as far as the vortex, but fusion doesn't feel right because it feels too.
I feel separate.
Huh?
Loose or
separate.
Huh?
I don't know, fusion sounds bubbly, it means moving in separate.
Yeah, it's like we're trying to bring something back that's long.
Well, we are.
Or put something together that's never been together or something like that. Fusion. You know, when you think of fusing drinks, we use that for the term nowadays. It's always, you know, lemonade and Pepsi. I'm just throwing out an
Oh, I
example.
see what you're saying.
You know, so this, I think, switching those two words would be.
Yeah, because to me, it's very literal, and the information is a side effect. Important, but it's the side effect.
The words.
It's just backwards because they're more interested in the information, and to them, that's the integration part is the information. To me, that's an amazing side effect of actually putting their molecules back together, right? Corpus callosum is very important. It is the passageway between left and right. So a person that loops is trapped in one side of it, right?
Yeah.
And a person that has disassociated a lot, like that corpus callosum starts getting very thin. That's how I see it. So the ability to actually go from left to right brain is a lot more physically difficult, right? So it's like the blood trying to go back and forth. So, if a person is over here, and which is a lot of PTSD people, they're very creative. So they're over here, ideas just come, no action. Because they can't get over here to orchestrate what it would take to actually make this, bring it into reality. So that's why I work a lot with the corpus callosum. It's like, let's get in so that you can have access to left and right brain. Plus, we're stretching that space out. When I first started with Donna Eden's work, I would literally pass out isn't the right word. That's what it felt like when I would cross. It was like I just get really faint and and nauseous, almost like a seizure because like my eyes would start shaking. And they were just very simple exercises. Just because even like doing this, I would get nauseous, right? Because my energy was running very linearly, and our energy needs to be operating like music. Right? I always see a person's auric field kind of like links that come together like this in a figure eight, right? So if a person's energy is just like the left side and the right side of community, right? Now this is after years of dysfunction, but I've definitely had clients that are, right, where it's just simply like even being able to stand and like cross your legs or stand on one foot was absolutely impossible for me. I would just instantly fall down.
So let's just say that someone was more dominant in the right or dominant in the left. How could one work on that, bring those two more closer together?
Really coming into that corpus callosum and really focusing, right? Truly.
So
So
it's just like your meditation, just
yeah,
what you're
like
saying.
when we, as I'm bringing people in, we always rest in the corpus callosum for a minute. I want them to know what that feels like, right? Because when we're in that place, we can access both sides at the same time, right? So when we're in that place, it's like being absolutely in integrity, right? Like when we're in that place, we can go, all right, I see the idea and I see the action all at the same time. Right? So yeah, it becomes a practice. When I say holistic, I really mean it. Like we're in the physical, right? Where as we're working with somebody, we're really tracking heat. We're tracking their illnesses, right? And we're comparing their physical illnesses with their emotional cycles, right? Now, as I'm doing that, I'm saying, okay, here's how their behaviors are playing out. Here's how emotionally their reactions are playing out. And look at their body. It's mimicking that. Very often our body is mimicking what is happening, right? So that connection line between all that gives us very swift accuracy on where to go, right? To solve it all. Now, some people's body talks is the forefront, like, and their body's talking the whole time they're in here, and some other people are operating from sight or from emotion, right? And that is just a different way that you track it, right? Now, behaviorally, I'm really tracking their words and the cyclical use of words, and how those words are forming their life patterns, right? How they're viewing what is actually showing up in their life, the stories they're creating about it, and how are they sabotaging? What behaviors are showing up that if the good shows up, how are they squashing it? Right? Like what's all going on in that space? And then emotionally, anxiety to me is energy, pent up energy. It's energy that we are channeling for any purpose. And
I totally agree with that.
yeah, and very often, most of these people are empaths, so a lot of the energy is in theirs, right? So yeah, so we're really in this space, like trying to discern that how their ground is. Like, are they taking on a ton of people's energy? Are they, because a lot of times abused people do that, right? That's why the abuser doesn't have any guilt or shit about what they did, because we're going, and then we're walking around feeling guilt and shame around their actions, right? That is very frequent, and kids do it all the time, right?
Doesn't looping cause anxiety if you're just
Oh, of
creating
course.
the energy of thinking that
Again, no action, nothing's happening. You're just, So it's pent up energy. Now, as people start getting better, we have to understand that excitement's energy too, right? So often the excitement, the word that they're going to put with it is anxiety, right? So being able to shift that and say, okay, but if you're getting on a roller coaster you're going to have energy movement that's going to be like excitement and fear and all like together. Are you feeling that? Or are you feeling stuck? Dead energy. So we have to start having them create distinctions.
Or like not, yeah, like.
Because there's big umbrella words. Anxiety is a big umbrella. Right? So yeah, we're looking really at their thought patterns and their emotional states. Now, when a person feels emotionally, my first question is in my head, how old are they right now? Like, very first question. If somebody's coming in here crying, like, I
guess I learned that from you, but I think that too.
I start picking and going, all right, how old are you right? You know, how old is this energy I'm dealing with? Right? Very quickly. And then spiritually, these people are pissed off. They're pissed off at God, right? They feel like they have been forsaken. They feel like they came here with all these knowings that have done them no good. They know they have a team, and I can relate to this. Every person, I mean, oh, you got this huge team, and I'm like, well, they haven't done a very good job protecting me. Had a lot of shit happen. You know what I mean? So that's kind of where they are in this very practical space of like, well, something like that's done me in good, right? So in that practical space, I work together. So every time that we declare a goal or we meet a challenge or, this is where spirit's showing up. You do see that. You do see the good that's coming in around you. So, there's a lot of energy goes into that space, reconnecting from a very practical space. Because the idea is, they're past that. It's like, that's all bullshit. Like, I need to see some action there if I'm going to trust anything about that, right? Because a lot of them have seen, if you've got Jesus standing next to you and you're getting beaten, is he really there? Or what's the good of him being there? What's the point of it? Right? So, and a lot of these people have Jesus. It's funny. All across the world. Like, it's like that energy is very very focused on children. That master. Very focused on children. And, it is amazing. Like, and it doesn't have to be Christians that end up with Jesus showing up in that space for them as children. Yeah, seriously. Another thing I'm really tracking here is how gifted are they? How gifted are they? Right? Because the more gifted they are, the crazier they feel. Because everything they know to be true is counter to what is. Right? So you think about these children and, they're highly sensitive. They're extraordinarily gifted. And they know more than the adults around them. And what good did it do? It's kind of where they are right here. So I really, really try to reconnect. I love this part. Reconnecting them to the religion. Right? Like, oh, but you see how you're manifesting this, right? Now, I don't use those words a lot of times because that, again, is one of those floaty words, right? But, it's like if you go downtown and every time you pull in front, you have the front row parking spot, you start going, oh, I manifested that parking spot. I created that. So as we move through, I really like to start setting some flags as far as their creations, right? And the clearer we can get them in a thought, the faster the creation happens, right? And, again, that fear space. So these people are having experiences all the time. It doesn't matter being in meditation. It doesn't matter, like, I could be sitting looking at you and seeing the fairies fly around, right? So am I crazy? Are there actually fairies flying around?
Do you see fairies?
I always see fairies. Yeah.
I don't ever see fairies.
Yeah. And, so, and their dreams, right? Because a lot of processing happens while they're sleeping, right? Because we're going into that space that you access with the rapid eye movement, right? They go into that space, and then the dots start connecting, or they're having dreams, or their guides are giving them messages, right? Now, here's the thing: everything that comes through is going to be interpreted from a fear space, right? So that is a constant question to me. Are you dreaming, right? Or what's going on in the, I'm asking a lot of questions around it because, they're going to interpret that dream as a nightmare. And you may look at it and go, oh, right? I told David, I don't know if I told you, but I had this one woman who was dreaming, she was this high powered CEO, masculine energy woman. And she had this dream that she had both sets of sexual organs. And like as our work was developing, we were trying to reconnect the feminine, and the penis broke off. Right? So she was just like freaking undone about that. And I'm like, Joe, you lost your penis. That's fabulous. I mean, in reality,
I wonder what created it.
Created what?
Her experience, did something happen?
Oh yeah, a whole lot happened, right? But that was our point. But I mean, that was a big piece of our work, was reconnecting her back to the feminine energy, right? Because she had been violated at the time. So, and she didn't have any trust in man. So, she was just like, yeah. So, we're working in all 4 of these levels. Now, most traditional therapies will pick one. Pick one, right? We're working in all 4 at the same time.
That's the future. Should be announced. The now.
So,
You want to be quiet as you're. You want me to be more intentional when I interject with thoughts and questions?
no, you think that loud. I'm not always going to respond because I can't always follow it. But
Or are you trying to follow through what you're sharing?
yeah. So, down to the whittling, right? Energetically, when somebody is going through and they're in this process and experiencing distress, a lot of times you will find a person naturally like rubbing their eyebrows or holding, right? Because it's a very natural space. So if I have a person that's having a lot of headaches, or they're really holding their face a lot, like, that's when I would go in. Before we ever go through the process, or completely after, not during the process. But go in and help them relieve, because these are acupressure points, right? So, and again, connecting, right, with the different levels. Like, this is fear. Fear is housed in our eyebrows, right? So you can go in and you want to demonstrate. Sure. So what I would do is come in and just,
Not pressing much.
it's not about the pressure.
The energy.
Right? Because here we're using the 2 points again. So what I'm combining is the matrix energetics, which is the 2 point, right? Now they've got a lot, like, amount of stuff. But the 2 point, I find, no, I'm still gonna use you if you don't mind.
No,
That was good. Okay. But the 2 point is just where we can be completely out of the way. It's like taking an aspirin and just knowing the aspirin is gonna find the pain. You're not trying to guide the aspirin to the pain. Does that make sense? So the matrix 2 point is just like I could come in and just go. Right? Or I try to cross the body when I use the 2 point. Right? I'm on the left and right side of the body at the same time.
I can feel
Different
that.
place. Yeah, right?
What exactly does that do?
I'm sending energy to wherever it needs to go without me having to
Got it.
guide it. It's like an aspirin. I always think of it as like an aspirin, right? So you don't have to think about it. Because the less you are thinking, the more your energy is flowing. As soon as you go into thought, you're using your reserves, and you're not connected. So that's something really to keep in your mind. Because energy work can drain you, right? If it's coming from your personal resources, right? So fear, goes from the center to the middle to the corner.
Mhm.
And so I'll come from the center and be just like, is that tender? Now, I'll normally hold until I can start feeling movement under my fingertips. Right? That means the release is happening. Right?
My mother used to when I was scared sometimes, she would just sit by me and do this. And she didn't even know what she was doing, and I didn't know what she was doing,
But
but
it works. It's because a lot of these things we know just from our innateness, right? And if we were actually taught it, what would you think, right? Now, worry, again, goes from the corner of the nose, the peak of the cheekbone, and then to the edge of the cheek. Right? So if somebody is really worried, I'll be like, does your face hurt when I touch you like that? Right? And I'll be like, yeah. So let's see if we can move that, right? A lot of people have depending, like if those two, like sometimes I'll come in and like go from here, like under the jaw, corner of the mouth. There's another one here. These are the main ones, right? Fear
it's
and
like
worry.
the essence of tapping.
Sort
And
of.
what is the full circle of it? Because I could tap till my face falls off, and it
No.
doesn't resolve my shit.
No, this isn't. This is just relieving your physical stress. This is saying this is not a fix for you. See what I'm saying? This is
you focus or get ready to jump.
No, it's not about
just
that.
to release.
It's like if you are in crisis and distress and like your head is gonna pop off, I can go in and let the pressure out of your head. Now, is that healing you? No. We need to go find out why you have all this
And
pressure.
I'm in a space after that. Or it's not even. It's just really.
I mean, if a person comes in here and they're like not in distress, I don't do any of this.
Because when you.
This is when a person is in distress.
You relieved my wrist the other day.
Mhm.
Just acknowledging that it hurt, helped me understand what was happening. And then it just relieved.
So, but that's different than this,
Okay.
right? That was
A signal.
well, you had
I was about to
trauma.
make a decision.
Yeah, you had stuff trapped there. This is you going in and as a practitioner and like releasing the pressure out of the pressure cooker. That's all we're doing. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So that they can think again, because they're not able to think if their head's about to
Kind of like a temporary unblocking.
Exactly. It's like letting enough out that we can go in and find the real reason why they're struggling, right?
But their thoughts will put them right back in the bodies.
Right. So fight flight, interestingly, runs like this, right? So So it's like when a person like is really in distress, right? Now I do this separate from jumping. This is me trying to maintain them until we can get them put back together, right? So I'm supporting them from the physical as they're doing the process to not need that anymore. Right? Fight, flight. Start at that, and we're gonna go across, down through the temple, behind the ear, right? Now we're taking all that energy, look at it, right? So that's fight, flight. Another one I do, this one. They're in your handbook. Like the handbook, I have everything, like you can just like flip open. That's how I see that being used, like you just be laying it. Huh?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, it's like you should just have it right here. Yeah, you can just run it off here. But you know, you can just have it here and be like, oh, it's that hole, right? That's why I have it really honed in so that you're not like having to fish through a bunch of shit. One I use a lot now. I do use this a lot because I feel like that if a person is resistant to looking back, this one is very powerful. I go in the third eye, and I go into, this space. Let me show you. Right there.
Yeah.
With a slight upward. I'm gonna push, but you don't feel me pushing. Normally I like to barely touch, but like when I get back in here just to a chair, I do kind of have a slight push up.
This is not wanting to look back.
This is your third eye. This is activation of the third eye.
Yeah, you want to turn next?
Come on up, what are you really
No,
doing?
I'm okay.
You should do all of them.
Perfect. So yeah, this one I use a lot, and this one I actually came up with. I don't know that I wanted this. This is just activating the pituitary, and I always see a line going between the pituitary and the third. Now, a lot of times when I finish this, I'll seal it with like 3 times. All right. Let's see, 0.5, pituitary. Another one is this. Like I'm gonna go into the temple, and there's 3 points across the crown. I always find this one right here helps with confusion. Another one, we were talking about the electrics a while ago, where we were saying like the energy was running linearly, or maybe it's not going all the way down. May not go all the way down to the feet, right? So our energetic system runs on electricity, just like our car, and our physical body does as well. I mean, that's what tachycardia is. Is if the electricity's up in the body and your heart's not beating, right? So the electrics are housed, these 2 bones, right at the. I always like to kind of find that spot. And for some people, I may do a whole talk session holding this. Because it's like they're on the battery charge. Right? So people that feel super tired or
Fatigue,
Mhm.
fatigue, tense.
Okay.
No, I'm saying use
No, this is electricity, so it's like they're on the battery charger. So you're like the battery, so you want to make sure you're connected in. Right? So this is like a jump start to this. Right? And you can hold them on the battery charger as long as you want. Now, I don't know if it's my level of sensitivity. It's something you guys are going to play with, but I always know when it's activated because I can start feeling movement under my fingertips. So that's one reason why you don't want to push very hard. You're not going to feel that. Yeah.
How do you learn all these? Just all the studies.
Mm-hmm.
Years and years of research.
And I've just whittled it down to the ones that are really pertinent to trauma. Right? And what I've found that I can access very quickly and very easily without a bunch of frickin' hoodoo. There's not ceremony, there's not any jumping up and down. It's just like, let me walk over and go. Yeah. Right? And so that's the electrics. Okay. So those are my big go-to holes, right? Okay. Do you have any questions so far?
Awesome.
Yeah.
I want to print it.
Yeah, so go print it. I think you should all print it. Yeah. Because, like, it's going to be something you can just have. Like, I had that, only it's not, you don't have to go sit through all that, right? You know what I mean? Like, it's all pretty
Gotten it.
whittled down.
Except the herbs chose. Yeah, I agree. It's not a bunch of food. It's like, even when like midwives, my specialty might be mothers and postpartum stuff. I don't know. But when midwives, even midwives at natural birth experts will sometimes speak during the emergence of the baby or just do a bunch of excess bullshit that disrupts and they think they're helping.
Yeah, they think they're helping.
And sometimes the mother needs something like, but it's not.
But what we realized that you can, and really, really good, I can do all that without you. Right?
To get them
So
back.
you're not like interfering, like, because if somebody's in real distress, I can just like,
Yeah.
they've got their eyes closed, so they don't even do it.
Explaining it all. Maybe later is curious for what.
It's because really it's about them being empowered. It's not empowering for them to think you're doing something to them to do.
And if they feel the relief later, will they know why?
Yeah.
They'd be more likely to have faith in this.
Well, and I just don't like to interfere as little as possible. All right. So, a big piece is reacquainting them with their body. And, in support of that physical side, like in the talk therapy and stuff, that was a very lacking piece for me personally, right? Because I disassociated so much. So, I had one point where I had a knife go all the way through my hand, and I was fragmented enough I couldn't feel it. I could see it.
So you like all the way through.
Coming out the back. Yeah. Right? But that's what we need to understand. That's how powerful being is social media. It's like the life force, right? Like, and how little this is real in the first place. Because I kind of got to the point where, huh?
I guess you got outline for
Come on, hurry up. Lay down. Lay down. Lay down. So this coming home exercise, you guys, is like the go-to. Because they're not going to be this chained up if they're in their mind. Right? They're not. Right? And if they can, and I don't know if we're going to have time to get to seeing Brooke's video. We may have to wait, or maybe you guys can go, I don't know. But I don't know how your time is doing today.
I
Huh?
do have a place to be.
We're gonna watch that this weekend. Oh, you meant it.
Anyway, you'll see her talking about, I forgot what I was saying. Traveling unconsciously about, just like, yeah, and being able to like, she never consciously could smell it. And after our first integration, she started smelling, right? Which was a huge deal to her. Like she never knew the world had smells, right? So reacquainting them with their bodies. Often they can't feel their legs, right? And sometimes it'll take me 3-4 weeks for them to be able to get all the way in and out to be able to feel their toes. It's a big deal, right? And that's something that is just the constant. Setting up your force field, most people that have been in trauma are really pulled in tight. So that expansion and moving their emotions out. This is a very action way of accomplishing what the Buddhists talk about as far as detaching from emotion. Right? So this is an action to be able to accomplish that and create that space. We're really looking at how their information is coming in, right? How is their body talking to them? Is that part of the problem? Is that their body's talking to them, right? So can we view this movement in your body as your body trying to help you uncover where you buried all this, right? So that reacquaints, because that's going to make them want to get out, right? So they've been running away from anything their body's trying, right? So getting them to stay in is a big deal. It's a real big deal. So, as we're getting this all into congruence, the better decision making starts showing up, right? Because right? If they're making these decisions out of emotion or out of habit, or they're not going to be in integrity with what they think. I mean, a lot of times, like people will be like, "I just want to be free." I understand, but it's dangerous, right? To be in that fragment. What time do you need to know?
I guess so. Well, probably about noon.
Okay.
By the time I get everything ready, I need to be there at 1.
Okay. So the chakra system, rides like a hydraulic up our torso, right? And that first root chakra, right? They say each chakra develops in 7-year increments. So when you think about the fact that our default programming is in place by the age of 7, right? Most of our work is being done down here. Most of our work is being done down here. So when we're supporting them through food and through nutrition, we're really looking at like, what does that root chakra need to not like fly apart as all this negativity, all this programming is being removed. What's going to hold it together, right? So root vegetables are really, really important, especially at the beginning, right? If we can get them eating beets, carrots, onions, garlic, sweet potatoes, anything that falls within the color zone is good too, right? So anything orange, anything red, right, is really powerful. And dark chocolate is really powerful for the headaches. It also really bathes us. Where's my little thing? Do you see it?
Now you
Oh, there it is. Yeah. So this is post-integration, and there's a sheet that you'll be able to hand your people, right? Beets, garlic, sweet potatoes, carrots, onions, really heavy in protein after an integration. I always encourage them to lay down. They can do it for 20, 30 minutes and allow their brain to reboot. Because, the rapid eye movement often happens here, but that means a person is processing in real time. That means their ego is out of the way, and in real time, that information is finding its place. Where some people need to go to sleep for that to happen, right? So, and we can save this for next week too.
I've read that book. That is an amazing book.
Well, and when we really think about that, then we have to really think about a human body, an infant's body is 70% water. And if we can affect the water in a glass,
Yeah.
what do we think about live water, right? And so that a big point when we're going back is we're also shifting the water molecule in that chart. So think about that. We're definitely working through the water molecule in a big portion of this process. We're feeding through the water, right? And we're trying to shift the cancerous cells, right? I think we understand this, right? So one thing I really work as far as them beginning to shift their mind and their words is I have them find 3 things every day. And I want them to write them down. 3 things that happened today that were good, that you can be grateful for. And I want them to have 3 good things. Not the love of my family, Yeah, no, it's I want real things. But when we think about cancer, look at those water molecules, right? How many kids start their life with their water molecules in this condition?
Probably a lot.
A lot, right?
They probably come out with it like that.
Yeah, because of depending on what's
Mother,
happening in the
right.
mother. Yeah, absolutely. Now, this is really powerful, you guys. You can't change your mind without changing your environment. And you can't change your environment without your mind changing. But we have to understand that people rarely change. It's like an alcoholic living in a bar, right? You're very rarely going to be able to accomplish real change if everything around you is exactly the same, right? So it requires conscious effort, and yeah, right? Because things are sticky.
So using the space with the people, with the habits that you want, or just whatever is in your mind.
Well, I can look back at myself and say, if I stayed in the town that I grew up in, would I be me? Right? Because it was all too stupid, right? It was, all the people were sticky. The thought patterns were sticky. Would I have been able to completely change my thought? It would have been difficult, right? Because that would have been the same thought that I always had, right? So,
But both are true because you can change your environment and invite all the same players.
right. Emmett Fox. I like him too. I didn't put him on the reading list though because he's pretty dry. So is Ernest Holmes, but
All the gems.
so anyway, you'll have this in your thing too. So I have really whittled down these herbs, and I like that they can take these herbs and put them in water We're infusing the water with minerals, with vitamins, like look at this one, rosemary, enhancing memory and concentration, right? So and it's coming in through the water, so their bellies aren't having to work. These people's bellies are explosive, right? And usually ulcerated, raw, like so for them to actually gain nutrition through that space, it's going down the toilet, right? But if we can bring it in through the water molecule, it's very quickly people's skin starts looking different, right? They're radiating. It's like the water molecule is changing. So I can't find my thing. That keeps happening. Do you see it?
On the bottom.
Oh, there we go. I need to figure out how to make that bigger.
Impressive.
That's what we feel like. So most of these people are empaths, right? And they don't know the difference between my thought and your thought and their thought. They don't. So a piece of our integrity is allowing them to have their thoughts, right? And not leading them, right? Not enmeshing with them, right? Because it's not sustainable. So when you're done, they're going to go back to their own way because your energy isn't being infused into them, right? So it's really important. And for you too, right? To sit here and be able to interact with somebody at this level, like your empathy is your biggest gift or your biggest curse, depending on how you operate within it, right? Now we have a tendency to go in and say, you need to meditate, and we have to start being mindful. They're gonna go, there's no way that they're gonna be able to just sit down and start meditating, right? So getting them into active, focused activities is powerful. Like running.
That's meditation.
Yeah. Painting.
Music.
Their music, right? Something that's active, but it requires focus and creativity, they're going to be able to access that. But you're not going to get them to sit down. I mean, still, that's difficult for me. Like, to me, meditation is going into nature and going for a walk and being completely present and mindful, right? And the mindfulness, right? They can't be present as long as they're catapulting. So don't even bring that in, because then the guilt starts coming that they can't do it, right? That happened to me when I was studying to teach with Chopra. And I'm like, I know all this material and it is it's not effective, right? So we can't bring that into them until they can be successful, right? Does that make sense? I mean, it is our goal, right? But we want to make sure that we're setting goals for them that they can reach and that they can reach right now, right? Knowing that this is end result, right? That, you can use washing the dishes, you can use weeding the garden, it's going into that space where the monks, like everything you're doing can be a meditation. So I try to find something that they're doing very naturally that they enjoy and grow in that, right? Like with you, I'd be really focusing in on that music.
Dance.
Yeah, and dance, right? Dance is another big one, right? But, focusing in on okay, that's something you do. I think during that time when we were working was when you made that album.
Yeah.
Right? Because it was like that was a place that you could come together and feel powerful and connected, right? So it doesn't have to look like a yogi, right?
And the brain sides.
Yeah, and you're working both sides of the brain. Another thing is a traditional space is yoga. You're not going to take somebody that's been sexually violated and put them in a room of 40 people with their ass in the air.
You could use a video in private. Or what do
Right.
you mean? Doing yoga tonight?
Well, it's not something I throw out right in the beginning, right? Because how, like, when we meet Brooke, like, she's not going to be in a room where she can't see everyone and every exit. She's going to know how to get out. So she's not going to be turned upside down with her ass in the air and not being able to see, right? So if I were going to, I really love to encourage people into like Tai Chi or Qigong, something where they're upright, right? And I hope to eventually create that to go with the Today I Choose. Like, something that's up, empowering, movement, right? So just a different way to think about those go-tos that they're thrown out to the average person, right? And you guys, they're sitting watching criminal TV. They're watching murders. They're watching the news. Like their music is violation, right? When a person is in crisis, it is amazing what they're choosing to bring, right? So that is another big piece that I really focus on. Like, what are you bringing into your environment, and how can we mix laughter in it, right? I try to get every person laughing before they leave, right? Because laughter changes the molecules of everything. It shifts everything, right? So if we can get them laughing, that's what I love about the Today I Choose bundles is that they're up on their feet, they're moving. I encourage them to dance, right? And the words are coming in, and they're powerful words. And I even really encourage them to laugh when they don't feel. Just go in the bathroom and make yourself laugh. Jump up and down and laugh, right? And it's interesting how different you feel, right? Someday I'll spend the whole day in here with people and think, oh, I feel heavy. I'll go over to my kids, right? And just to get one of them to jump up and down and play. Right? And then it's like, boom, gone. Right? This laughter shifts it all.
There's a whole lot in the brain, doesn't it?
Yeah. Because it's bathing our brain in serotonin. Right? So it's literally shifting the molecules of everything in your body. So I don't know if you have time to watch Brooke today. But this is Brooke after 5 sessions. 5 sessions. Now this woman wouldn't leave her house. Her dog, she was completely estranged from her dog. Her dog would lay in the corner and just cry because she wouldn't allow him to touch her or nobody could touch her. Every ounce of information coming in, even laughter, was a negative space for her. It was a scary space. Completely paranoid. So, as you could tell, I had her out in nature. Right? She that morning had done Today I Choose and got the dog outside out for a hike. Because the only thing out of sync in nature is us. It's the only thing, and energy's gonna find balance. So again, that is something that they can do without feeling like they're trying to fix themselves, and it's gonna help. Right? The bacteria in nature loves to play with the bacteria in our belly and the bacteria in our brain. So, and it creates happy hormones, like in our bellies for sure. Right? So that's something I push from the get-go, right?
Sometimes it was all I could do.
Just go outside.
That's what I could do.
Right? And at first,
was
Brooke,
hot.
I would just get her to go on the porch, even have a sip. Just go on the porch. Right?
Go outside.
And then, walk around the block. And you know what I mean? But that space of like saying, all right, it's action. People are influencing you. Like she's such an empath, she can't go to the grocery store, she can't go anywhere. Right? So at that point, she wasn't even leaving her house. She's going to the grocery store. So what's making today so hard?
I was talking with one of my friends about she was just having a hard day. And, basically what happens is she's kind of always been kind of a high anxiety person and like lived alone in her house, and she hired one of my good friends, and then she hired my good friend's boyfriend, and she had a really bad day where she had a cat that got attacked by a foster dog while she was out at her business, and she doesn't have walking business. And yeah. Whenever she was there, they offered her a couple shots, and she's an alcoholic. And of course, with that experience happening, she immediately accepted. And so she had a couple shots. So she had my friends, Josh and Ashley, take her home. But then she said she really wanted Ashley to stay with her. And Ashley was like, I can't actually go get the kids. So she let Josh just stay with her. And she stayed there with her. And she doesn't let anybody like stay in her house at all. And Josh and I had a weird experience before, where I woke up on top of him and he was inside of me. And he was completely doing everything. It's not like I was doing any work. I was even conscious. I just had woken up. And then I freaked out. And he was cold and terrible. And he continued to be cold and terrible to me after that. And even whenever I told him, I gave him the benefit of the doubt, like maybe he didn't understand something, or maybe I dissociated and I just woke up at the wrong time, or maybe like something weird happened that I didn't understand. But after attempting to talk to him about it, his coldness and the way he was about it was just, it wasn't right, you know what I mean? Like if there's a misunderstanding and a man feels like he's wronged somebody, then he feels that.
Oh, sure.
But he didn't have that.
Was he your friend's husband, boyfriend?
Boyfriend, they've been dating for a couple of years.
Does she
And I
know
had
about
sex with them before. But like, just because I'm really bad with them, it's great. But she had never met them before. And anyways, he raped her that night. And she believes that he drugged her as well.
Do you think he drugged you?
I don't know if he did or not. I take meds at night anyways. And I've smoked weed with him before and stuff, so I don't know. And for me, it wouldn't really, like, I don't know, I black out all the time anyways. Somebody drugged me. I did. It literally, like, I don't feel any more violated by him adding drugs to the mixture.
Right.
Yeah.
I was just wondering.
Yeah, but I don't know. Like, she has evidence and was pursuing things in court and thought it'd be bad and everything. But she hasn't heard back on her rape kit or anything, and she just feels terrible.
So this just happened?
This happened, I want to say 6 months ago. But I put my, as soon as she told me, I just put my hand through the wall in the bathroom. Like, I've literally never punched a wall in my life. But I put my hand through the wall in the bathroom. What do you need?
So how long ago was that for you?
Well, I stayed with them. The next time I stayed with them for about a month after I moved out of my husband's house. I guess it was, I moved in with my mom. And got pregnant with Maisie right afterwards. And I lived with her right before I moved in with my mom. Maisie's a year now, so it was that long ago. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
So I got a couple years.
So what triggered you being so upset today?
Well, I think it's just, so for me, I just feel like, I don't know, I feel like her pain is my fault. There's no way she would have trusted them or let them into her life. But them into her house, she doesn't let people into her house. Like,
Well, why do you feel like that's your fault?
I feel responsible because he did something terrible to me. And the type of person that I am, I just dismissed it and said, I'm not important enough to care about this. And it's not going to affect anybody else, so it doesn't matter if I care about it. Mm-hmm. But then it affected somebody else.
Yeah.
So I have to care about it.
Yeah.
Which means I have to care about myself in that situation too, which I didn't really want to.
Right.
I just kind of wanted to pretend like it was a misunderstanding, something didn't happen. Yeah. And I don't get to whenever I'm reminded that she had this horrific experience with him. But I'm not going to tell her she can't talk to me or anything. I mean, she knows it's triggering, and because she also deals with it.
I very clearly see the woman, a version of you,
Yeah.
trapped.
yeah,
Well,
she's helpful.
yeah, but I mean, I see the version of you trapped with the guy. Yeah. I think we should go rescue her.
Are you talking about Colin? Probably. Yeah, Colin is the first person I've ever told anything to. And honestly, I can't say I knew about everything until I was in a certain spot with him. Because like your brain doesn't kind of like pushes everything back.
And he's the one that raped you.
No, Colin's my ex-husband.
Your ex-husband. No,
We
I'm
had to
talking
look
about
at
the rape.
Oh, the rape was. Which one?
Well, what you were talking about, I could very clearly see her.
Yeah.
And I think we need to rescue her. She feels very confused.
Because that one is just like, I don't know. In my head, I can write that one off as a misunderstanding, so I want to say it doesn't count.
But at the same time, you do feel it is
It does count, obviously.
and you do feel that it has led to other rapes. So
Well, that's
discounting
my past one. That's my latest one.
No, but I mean, as far as other people.
Yeah.
So, you discounting it with you doesn't really matter.
No, it doesn't. Yeah, I was very mad. I think I was more mad than anything. So not surprised because I know that she does like great things and stuff like that and do like that like real crap and like that's great for them, but like I didn't in no part of my head would I ever thought that either one of them would want to go through. And I guess that's what would happen eventually. Liked it that much, I don't know.
So let me get this straight in my head. So the guy that raped you, was he with someone?
He dates my best friend.
He dated your best friend and he was dating your best friend then?
Yes. And I lived.
Okay.
And we had a couple nights where we like messed around and stuff, but I had a
All
very
three of
specific,
you or just
all three of
Okay.
us. And I specifically had a conversation. Look, I'm struggling right now. We can't do anything. I don't want to do anything with either one of you right now. Like I was very clear. I'm not doing anything with either one of you. And please, if I say anything appropriate or something like that, tell me because I'm not trying to put off that vibe right now. And I'd had a really, really bad day. And he came in to just like, he said we were just gonna cuddle, he was just gonna put my head to sleep, and I believed him. I didn't think he did anything more than that. Yeah. And I don't know, I've never had anybody like just sit there and rub my head to comfort me and help me fall asleep. Even Kagan or Papa, like anybody who's ever loved me as much as they've ever loved me, I'll just sit there and put my hair to fall asleep. And so for him to try to comfort me that by knowing I'm struggling or I'm having a hard time, seeing me scream, seeing me have panic attacks. It's like him while I live there, understanding what I go through on a regular basis. And then empathizing with me and acting like such an ally and helping me feel so comfortable. And then be so abruptly displaced out of that. I feel like I felt like I had a social circle, and I felt like this was really good. It's possible I could have disassociated, and something could have been, I could have run my ass against him or something, but it wasn't. Yeah, it didn't feel like that to me. I didn't.
Okay. So when you said that, okay, so you're living with this couple, and this happens with you. Now, who's the other person?
Ashley was my best friend at the time.
Okay, so a different girl that's not with the couple.
That is the couple. It's
Okay.
Ashley and Josh.
Okay, so what did he do to her?
Melissa is the woman who was raped.
Oh, okay. Melissa.
Yeah, she owns a business, catwalking.
Mm-hmm.
And I worked for her. So I met her through another friend, and we got to know each other. And then she hired Ashley because she needed more help than I was able to give and what she had. And then she needed even more help, and Ashley needed help, and so Josh helped them. And so they worked for a while. Mostly we had to trust them and stuff, and then and then there was this bad cat attack where this cat died that she'd known for a decade while doing her business. And then she cut basically that. From what I understand, she had went. Had went home after a couple of shots with the owner, was one of the owners of the animal that died, and I guess he gave her a drink or something. But she very much so thinks that he drugged her. I don't know. She would tell me that she couldn't sleep on her bed and she tried to sleep on her couch, and her mom bought her a new bed so she could sleep in her bed. And then I don't know. She just struggles on a regular basis. She's talking about closing her business because she just can't do it anymore. And she always has paperwork piling up, and she can't get herself. She just feels like she's weighted down all the time. And
Just
March
since
is
this
concrete.
incident.
This incident, yeah. I don't know anything else about her. I just know that she had bad anxiety. And then she's a lot more. It seems like she's more vicious in her politics now. Like she really likes Bernie, but she'll talk very bad. Like she'll just be like very aggressive, a lot more aggressive than she used to be, and angry. I don't know. I just feel for her. And then whenever she called me and started talking to me, she didn't know that it had happened to me too, or that he had done anything, or that anything had happened. And but basically, as soon as she told me, I just felt instantly responsible, and instantly just so angry.
Well, you're not responsible, right? Because you didn't create any action. I mean, you didn't. So I would like for us to go back and rescue her. And you're sensitive enough. You'll be able to tell whether she was drugged or not, right? You can be able to tell whether she disassociated or not, right? Or if it was all like in her sleep. Like you're going to be able to tell that, and the responsibility can be placed where it belongs.
Yeah.
Right. I do understand from disassociation. It's hard to. I know for myself, it was really hard to tell because I didn't really have details. I just had, oh, that happened. And I had the beginning and the end, which is what it sounds like you had, like the beginning and the end. You were spooning, and all of a sudden you were on top of him, and that was happening. Right? So I think we need to find the middle, right? Just see, if you are responsible, then fair enough, personal responsibility. But if you're not, right, I think that's something you need to give yourself as well.
I just know when I woke up, I was completely limp, which isn't, I don't know.
Yeah, I think we need to go save her.
It's just different.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And if he drugged you, that's his responsibility, not yours. I mean, it's always his responsibility if he's moving against our will, period.
He did start me a soda that night, now that you're telling me that. Now that we're talking about it, he did start me a soda that night. Because he's a cook, so he always makes the food.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Right.
You up for it? Okay.
I think so. I'm not, but yeah.
Well,
figure it out.
if we can get, to where some of that emotion is released, right? You were pretty upset when you got here.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, for sure. Would you like a blanket? No, it's still the perfect length. I'm sorry.
Okay, cool.
I know it's, no, it's, I get it. It's funny. I get it. Can you start describing to me the house?
Well, they have 19 cats.
19 cats. Wow.
One of the dogs was saved from the shelter. She's really not something sorry. She was found with another dog in a cage after being left alone for a month in an apartment. Ashley saved her. She wouldn't let anybody touch her at all. Her name's Gloria. She will eat me. They've tried to introduce her to me a couple times with a muzzle, and she will eat me. She will eat most people. It's very difficult for her to interact with people because she's had such a hard time with them. She's really sweet dog. And there's Ellie. She's another pit bull. That's there. And then it was Grandpa, who was a bull terrier that was 16 years old that had a prolapsed rectum. So he like that poop everywhere kind of a little bit. So you just had to watch where you were with him and just clean up him constantly. But he was really sweet. He was just a giant baby. He was disgusting, and so the shelter was gonna put him down. And like nobody wants this in their house.
Yeah.
And Ashley's like, I got 19 kids. I didn't know. Like,
Oh my god. That's crazy.
my house is gross. I don't have kids. It doesn't matter. I'll clean it up. And she kept him until I died. He was super sweet.
So describe the outside of the house. The front of it.
It's a split level. Such a tradition. Yeah, it's a split level. We've got like white siding and a couple columns up front. It's over like in the Derby Ridge area. Slightly.
Okay. So can you be there?
And Josh's purple truck is always in the driveway because it's never running.
Let me see.
You always hear the dogs barking in the garage when I come up because they always keep them downstairs because some of the cats are not good at running away from them.
So the dog's barking at you now?
Yeah, every time I come to the house.
Cool. So are your feet on the grass or are they on the pavement? Okay. So can we walk up to the front door?
Yes.
All right. And feel free to let the dogs know that they're cool. That's all okay.
I think I'm just going to leave them locked in the garage back where they were.
Okay, good.
But it is.
Is it daytime or is it nighttime?
It's nighttime.
Okay. Is it really late nighttime or is it like evening?
It's like early evening. Like there's still that low light.
Okay. All right.
So
So,
like after dinner, the white light's really time.
okay, like 7, 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
Perfect.
In the summer, it's nice.
Okay. So let's step inside.
Okay.
And I want you to just tune into what you're sensing in the environment.
It's kind of hectic but stale.
Okay.
It's a hoarder, so it's kind of stuff everywhere. But
Are there people up? People awake?
yeah, I hear.
Okay. All right. So let's just kind of walk towards the sound.
I'm gonna go downstairs, like a split level.
Okay.
You can hear someone in the kitchen.
Okay. Who's there?
It's Josh. He's making fried chicken or something.
Okay.
That's not what I was thinking was gonna happen.
Okay. All right. So let's go down the hall and see if we can find Brooke.
Ashley's in the living room. in the back bedroom. Just getting ready to brush my hair and stuff. But it's not, it's the kind of getting ready to do whenever I'm scared. And I think if I put on enough makeup, I won't feel that anymore.
Okay. So can you step in and maybe close the door and ask her what she's afraid of?
I just keep jumping back to that scene.
Let's see.
Thoughts.
Is this where she woke up?
Well, yeah.
So do we want to rewind a little bit?
I'm trying. This, I was at earlier in the night and then on that spot.
That's okay.
The middle spot. I guess is perfect. I'm gonna have a hard time putting my feet on the ground.
Okay, would you like for me to come with you?
I'm trying.
Can you see me? Yeah. I'm gonna pull you down. Feet on the ground. And let's talk through what you're seeing right now.
So this, I'm, I'm crying from memory at that time. I was just having my PTSD that day. The childhood stuff and Joshua came into me to comfort me. Just like, he's a really good dude.
Remember, you and I are just observing. Can you describe to me what you're seeing?
You know, just getting pieces and things of holes in them.
That's okay, because we're recovering memory, so that's okay. So what are the pieces that you're getting?
I'll just see at the time that I kissed him. And then it'll go back to me being scared in the bed again. And him being okay, but me still being scared.
And can you ask her what she's afraid of?
Life alone, call and control.
Is she afraid of Josh?
A little.
And does she feel right-minded right now? There's not anything in her system. Tell me what you're seeing.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm trying to move this all back to the back so we could just start over again.
Yeah. You're trying to what?
I'm just trying to scurry us both to the bathroom so that we can start over again.
Okay. Let's start over.
I just keep like, I don't know, I'll try to like look up and then I'll like get up and sit down, get up and sit down, and I feel uncomfortable and I can't stop.
So
If I could just get to like my back against the wall, scurry to the bathroom, take a breath in the bathroom, figure out what's going on there. Feel like it'll be perfect.
okay, let's do it.
So then like go into the bathroom. The lighting's really good. They thought the lighting was messed up, but I fixed it. They just had the circuit tripped. It's fine. They didn't know. They lived in the house for over a year thinking that light didn't work.
That's funny.
Yeah. So I was like, I'm an electrician. Fixed it. So it was nice. It kind of felt like my bathroom there. Like even if the room didn't look really good. So I was nervous because Michelle was supposed to come over for dinner.
Okay.
And she canceled last minute. I hadn't seen Michelle for a long time. Definitely not since after I left college. And we kind of had a hard time kind of breaking up. Whenever I was leaving the shelter and stuff, it was kind of crazy. So I was just nervous to see her. And I haven't been having a great day, so that's cool.
How are you feeling?
And when I got upset because I couldn't get my makeup right, I started crying because I can't get my makeup right.
So can we go and help her do her makeup?
Which is stupid because it's not like having good makeup.
It doesn't matter. Can we help her do her makeup?
My hands just got so shaky.
So I'm going to send energy into the current version of you. It's going to bring you calm.
So I just use that up. And then it ends up all over the face. So I cry off.
Well, maybe we could help her wash her face right now so it wouldn't be a concern. And let's explain to her that we're here to figure out what happened with Josh. And we'd be super grateful if she showed us.
Yeah. Oh, no.
What now?
It's no. You don't want to talk about
Yeah. Let's explain to her that we need to because other people are getting hurt. And we need to know the truth. And tell him that your friend feels like he drugged her.
share with me what you were seeing? We had to do makeup. She's freaking out sorry. And we were just talking about. Okay. And I was like, okay, so let's just have her and makeup. Let's go ahead and go get that out of the way. Perfect. That's perfect. That's not a problem. Perfect. I guess the energy makes sense. It was pretty manic. Again, Ashley asked me if I did math because I cleaned their house ridiculously. I don't know if it was after or something. She was so manic.
Can you explain to her that you are rescuing everybody, right? She doesn't ever have to be there anymore for anyone. She doesn't have to. But it would be helpful if she shared with us what happened so that we can protect others.
That's just hard to get this.
So here's what I'd like for you to do. I'd like for you to get right in front of her and look right in her eyes and say, I'm here. I'm here. I'm here. I'd like for you to put your left hand on her heart and take her left hand and put it on your heart. Okay. I want you to feel those hearts sink. She feeling a little bit better? Or a little less manic?
Yeah, she's not rocking.
Okay, perfect. So here's what I was just shown that you can do. I'd like for you to just mind meld with her. So I want you to just forehead to forehead. No, nose to nose. Perfect. And tell her to show you. And she doesn't have to tell you, she can just show you.
I was so tired. And he said he told me fall asleep. I was just dead tired. Because I hadn't taken my meds. Because I don't take my meds before I take them before bed. And I was ready for bed to watch dinner. I don't usually fall asleep that early. I relaxed, falling asleep. Felt good. Whenever I started to wake up. And I woke up the first thing he's on top of me. my whole body just felt like nothing and like weight at the same time. If that makes sense.
Did you make her drink something?
It has some. I think that same thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, you and I are still there, right?
Yeah.
You ready to get her out of there? Do you need to know anything else? All right, let's go in and get him off of her. We can phrase him. We can shove him off. We can do whatever we want. Can't hurt him. But you can say whatever you want to do. Because right now we're in time, and it may affect the next person. You know when you're ready, and I'll take one arm and take the other because she feels kind of in trouble. She's going to have trouble getting out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let me take one arm and take the other, and let's get her out of this house.
You got it?
No. Is there a tree in the backyard?
I
Okay,
can see that one.
perfect. That's where I was feeling like we should go, is into that tree. It's got some fairies in it.
Yeah, it's a good tree.
Mm-hmm. So when we get there, I'd like for you to explain to her that we're going to bring her back here with us. And as we spin, we're going to spend all the confusion down into the roots of this amazing tree. And we're going to spin her molecules back into you. She doesn't have to be there anymore, ever. All right, is she ready? So I want you guys to hold hands. And we're going to start spinning just like children. We're going to spin faster, 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 faster. We're spinning so fast we can't see anything anymore. We can't see each other. We're just spinning. And all that's not useful is just going down into the roots of this tree to be recycled into something powerful and useful. And as the spinning begins to slow, and your feet come back down to the earth, the current version of you is the only one left. Let me know when that's real and true for you. Yeah?
Yeah.
So what was funny? I love funny, but what was funny?
It's just, what do I get?
Yeah. I want to bring you back though. I want to realign your astral body.
Just, what do I get?
Run it
What do you want me to do?
Is she gone? Is she back in that bed?
No.
Okay. Is she with you here?
Maybe she might be in her tree. I'm not 100% sure.
Okay, let's go back and look. So we don't want her in the tree.
No, that's probably not.
Is she in the tree? If she is, we need to figure out why.
She's just sitting in the house. I'm not sure.
Okay, so let's sit down with her. And let's ask her what drew her back. Is there something else she needs to tell you?
She said, I'm not safe.
We'll tell her that she's not safe either, but together you're going to be much safer. Tell her you have a little girl. And you're working so hard to be the safest mom ever. What's she saying?
Ashley.
Ashley knew.
She knew about her and she knows about Melissa.
Can you tell her that you're very grateful that she shared that?
Yeah. Just moving it.
Yeah. Yeah. And tell her it's okay to be mad. Because it's put other people in jeopardy. It's not cool. You're so grateful that she told you because now, together, you guys can be safe.
How's she doing?
Okay. Feeling connected with Jordan so well. I'm most impressed that you're not gonna be here.
Yeah.
Right. It's
Yeah. Oh, it's so much better. Tell her you're not doing it by yourself.
you're better friends. Who don't let friends.
Yes. Yes. And tell her if she'll trust you, you'll trust her. Because you both have a baby to keep safe.
She's like the best
Yeah. How does she feel about that?
pain.
Why does she feel pain?
She can.
Yes, she can have babies. She has one.
Be happy.
You have a baby. Tell her that. We have a baby. It's yours too, and if she come back, you can help me raise her. I think we're ready to. Perfect. Yeah, she feels better. Yeah. Alright, so we're gonna start spinning. We're gonna spin faster. Giggles are amazing in this energy, right? We're gonna spin faster. 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 We're gonna spin so fast you can't see each other anymore. You can't see anything around you. You're just spinning faster. 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 And as the spinning begins to slow, and your feet come back down to the earth, current version of you is the only one left. You know when that's real and true. I'm going to bring you back. I'm going to realign you. Okay. So we're going to drop down through the atmosphere, through the clouds, through the roof, through the top of your head into your corpus callosum. Draw that energy behind your eyes back. And fill up your chest, arms, fingers, your belly, your thighs, calves, all the way to the bottoms of your feet. So let's bring your awareness to the big toe of your right foot and see if you can find your pulse there.
It's okay if you can't. Let me know what you are feeling.
I think I was having a hard time not coming down with that.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to like reposition myself again.
Yeah, because you don't like getting in your body.
Yeah.
I know, I saw you. Are you in there now?
No. Not as tired.
Where are you stopping?
It's quite literally like right here.
All right. All right.
Like I'm not getting yeah.
All right.
So I
Come on
can't
down.
even feel them like
Okay. There you go. Nice. How about now? How are you feeling?
feel better. Just betrayed.
Well, I think it's smart for you to have that truth, right? Not trusting somebody, trusting somebody who's untrustworthy is not okay. And that's the big thing with disassociation is that we have very limited discernment because we're not there, right?
I guess that makes sense why I'm just mad today.
Yeah, because you knew that.
Yeah, it just made me very sad. It just makes me mad.
Yeah. No, it's okay. You have a right to be mad. That woman didn't ever get mad. She accepted that just as a day of life.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean she wasn't mad. She just didn't allow herself to express it. So what words are with this mad right now?
I don't know, just I don't know. Sucks that I wasn't important enough to recognize it. That anger wasn't important enough to recognize it. So I just kidding. I don't know.
What do you mean? Explain that to me.
Like, why does it have to happen? Like, what are you saying? Like, at that time, I'm an adult. I should just be able to deal with circumstances and not dissociate how that happened. But
Well, let's not say what you should have done, right? Because
Right.
you're a very magical being, right? And what we're doing is creating clarity so that next time you can have the right appropriate discernment,
that's true.
right?
The whole person.
Yeah, when you're a whole person. Because now you have information that you didn't have before. That's the deal with this disassociation. We have big chunks of information missing. That puts us in jeopardy.
That's true.
Yeah. And when we're triggered, then we only have a very limited amount of information that we have access to. So we're always out of balance, right?
Yes.
So, I think knowing that you shouldn't trust Ashley is important information.
I probably should have gotten that already. But I could have looked at friendly. People that people don't like. Usually there's a reason why people don't like them, I guess. Why they've ended up being casted out.
Well, that's, I can understand sexual fantasy, but when other people are put in harm's way because of our animal desires, that's not cool.
That's fine.
No.
It makes her just as much fun and stress out.
Well, almost worse. It takes a lot to watch someone get hurt.
That's fine.
It takes a lot, you know? I mean,
Anybody, but like,
I've spent a lot of energy around my mom, right? And thinking, okay, my dad would be triggered and be in these spontaneous moments and hurt us.
Yeah.
But she was just in her right mind watching.
right.
There's something even creepier about that.
It's weird.
It's very weird. I call them the watchers. But I feel like this woman was enjoying the risky behavior as well.
Yeah, she's into it.
So she seems just as much at fault. Like, was she watching?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought
Which
she
I
was.
never knew before.
Yeah.
No, she totally
I saw that too.
saw almost everything, and then
And she was getting off on it too.
she's played down a few times by now. That was just her playing down.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't a convincing act. It's not like I believed it at any point. It was just her playing down.
So when we think about that level of responsibility about your friend, who has that responsibility now?
It's definitely Ashley.
Yeah. Really her.
Really her, because she put both of us in those circumstances. She
Yeah.
brought this weird fucking dude into our lives.
So
And
was
told
she
us
bringing
it's just
you
a
in
very
as food?
soft person. Yeah, I mean, basically.
You know, I mean, if you've got a snake, you have to feed it.
And she knows how, and she knows how I am, how I've struggled with sex addiction, or whatever my psychiatrist called it. But I don't know. And she knows how I struggle with dissociations, PTSD, and it's, I guess, an opportunity.
But the other gal didn't have all that, and she fed her too.
Right. She just had some anxiety and had an awesome business and lived independently as a fucking awesome woman. And still can. But she's struggling.
And you know what? Today you didn't even disassociate.
No, I didn't. Yeah, I didn't today.
How's your smell?
I can smell a lot of things. I got sick in this morning in the shower. I didn't throw up or anything, but I thought it right. Because I've used this pineapple papaya face wash from Calva for like ever. It makes my skin glow. It's awesome. And I put it on today, and I smelled the pineapple. And I never smell like pineapple, papaya, anything.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is disgusting. How do people eat pineapple? Like, I love pineapple juice, but I'm wondering like if I can smell it now.
Yeah.
If I'm gonna be like, oh, that's disgusting. Because like, I don't know, I smelled it. And I was like, goodness.
It's super cool.
That baby poop is. And like, I don't know. I have to pay attention to smell things still. Like, few things have caught me like off guard. Like, oh, that's a smell. But, like this morning, the pineapple was like, oh, that's a smell. I wasn't trying to smell that. And that just like hit me like a ton of bricks. So it was kind of neat.
Yeah, it's super amazing.
Yeah, like I was like, this is amazing. Yeah, whenever something amazing happens. The other day I was bending over to change Maisie's diaper, and my back pulled out, and I couldn't move. And so I just laid on the ground in pain. I'm like, this is really amazing pain for doing nothing. This is just so amazing. Yeah, being able to smell good and bad things. It's really amazing. Yeah. Just like feeling good about things. It's really amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. So how do you feel now?
I don't know how to feel comparatively to whenever I came in. Because it's just different. I'm not very good with words.
Well, when you came in, you were feeling very responsible for this other woman's
Yeah,
rape.
I don't feel responsible in any way, shape, or form for that anymore. Now I'm just really like pissed off at her. But like I was pissed off at her anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
And I feel that's warranted.
Yeah.
And the responsibility wasn't.
And
So I hope you feel a little lighter because of that.
I do,
Okay.
yeah. I feel a little lighter and a little bit more put together.
So what were you going to say? I'm sorry.
Well, I think I was just like, I've been angry with Kate at this point for yelling at me while I'm having an anxiety attack while I'm trying to leave. And I don't know, I think it was just,
Here's what I want to share with you.
just
Like,
frustration of not being able to make myself safe. I don't know.
well, here's what I'd like to offer you to consider when you're having these huge emotions right now is that all these versions of you are realizing now that you're coming.
Yeah.
So that means they're going to be working to get your attention.
Yeah.
Right? Just
Yeah.
like this one. So the anger and blah, blah, blah. So if you can start acknowledging, like, and the beautiful thing is when we're in a rhythm, the universe will start bringing them up right before you come in. Right? So that you walk in like today, that was virtually painless, right?
Right.
You were in a mess, boom, let's fix it, boom, done. Right? So just understand, like, if you're like feeling huge waves of emotion, are probably one of these versions of you trying to get your attention.
And I'm just trying to dissociate, so it's I'm not going to listen to that because
Yeah. Well, and maybe versus trying
usually I
not
think
to.
is how it goes.
Yeah, and but now that we're in this rhythm, let's more look at them like, hey, I'm coming. Let's wait for Cherie. Right?
Yeah.
So that if you're gonna do it and you're gonna disassociate, let's do it on purpose.
Thank you.
So the
And I do dissociate though.
not today.
Yeah.
Right? But that situation was not a disassociative situation.
That's true.
You fucking drugged you.
Yeah.
Right? So now you're able to experience the difference.
Yeah.
Right? We can go back and recover. It's not every loop is because of the disassociation. Like that was a PTSD moment.
Yeah.
For real. No. You have to disassociate to be able to have PTSD in the first place. But that wasn't like an alternate space. Like he
Nothing
drugged
new.
you.
Yeah.
You know, that was recovering lost information.
Yeah. You had a journey out of a completely different situation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, after the conversation, we had a completely different situation. So it's not that I'm weak or that I'm
No way.
allowed it or that like any part of me
They
is.
took complete advantage.
Yeah.
And
She
it was
just
premeditated.
walking
You
by
need to understand that too. If he
They
gave you that at
planned it.
dinner.
Let's see what's one side. Yeah.
You don't see how much worth it.
I just don't understand why. I could never be like that. What do you do with that?
But rape is like that space, right? They like that space of having complete. It's all about control. It's not about the sex at all.
I don't know. I guess after I'm not gonna say that. So I don't feel guilty.
What were you saying?
I don't feel guilty as Melissa. I think
What are you thinking about now?
well, that I was just retracing like my history with Melissa. Kind of. It was just kind of coming out and sort of stayed with me. So it was just kind of going back through my history with Melissa. And, just kind of remembering the types of guilt that I had there.
So the fact that you're remembering them, that's interesting, right? Because I love when that happens, like in real time. Because I love that you're processing real time. A lot of times it takes people 2, 3, 4, 5 days to process. But
Yeah.
You're watching the cycle.
And it's not like just blocks or something. Actually, like
Yeah.
memories.
Yeah, it goes through and it's like, boom, 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 writing all those guilt moments.
Well, and thankfully this is a shorter period of time, so it's a little less complicated. Like the last one we did.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Well, it's different, I guess.
It's
but
different.
Yeah.
It's closer.
Yeah.
Time-wise.
So maybe it's easier to sort through that stuff.
Well, I think when we're disassociated, it's more complicated.
Yeah.
When we're really disassociated because the information's further.
Yeah.
Right? And there's almost like 2 there to deal with.
Trying to be conscious. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Or this time I was certain where I was the whole time.
Yeah.
Not flexing in between.
Right.
Which is usually kind of how it goes.
Well, and then you'll get now, though, that you felt that, you'll be able to do it even in the other time. Now, one thing that's interesting when you're shifting into an altar, though, is that she's coming forward as the one that's speaking. So I'm sure that space is going to be slightly different. It's almost like you guys are switching places. Yeah. So that might be why you felt that.
Can you repeat that?
Well, like with this gal, you said you were able to keep the separation, right? But you were the one talking to me the whole time.
Yeah.
Not her.
Right.
Right. When we were working with the altars were the ones talking to me.
Yeah.
So they were the dominant being in the room.
Otherwise I can't really hear from them. Yeah.
Right? So that's gonna feel different than what today. Because she was the dominant one.
Yeah.
But you didn't go away.
Yeah.
Right? When we brought her back in, she wasn't the dominant one. Right. She was the one physically talking to me.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like it makes sense to me.
Since intertwined, yeah, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Because it's almost like your current version of you became in the space of like the woman you dealt with too.
Right. Because I remember that sadness of like infertility and stuff, and how much I was struggling with that at that time. Even though it wasn't in the forefront of my head, that I was struggling with that at that time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Did it make her feel better to know you had a baby?
Oh yeah. I felt that. Because yeah, I struggled without having Nancy for like 6 years. That was no birth control. Like I tried Marina for a minute, but it was no birth control or anything. Mm-hmm. I did hormone therapy and stuff. I learned how to track my cycles. Got really good at it. And then even after doing therapy for a while, I still didn't get pregnant, so I just thought I couldn't do it. So I just stayed doing my hormone therapy after Colin and I separated. And I got pregnant with Kagan like a month after I moved out.
Yeah, I think it was just not supposed to be his.
Yeah, it wasn't supposed to be his. It was kind of weird. Just like he had been with his wife for 9 years, and she hadn't been on birth control for some time. Just, yeah, we were meant to have kids with them.
Mm-hmm.
But we could have kids with each other. He could be my soulmate. I don't know. I have such a good girl to have.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't know.
What happened with that?
He got used to me taking care of him. He became weak. Because he just, yeah, he knows that I will be responsible. So he trusts me too.
That's interesting.
Which is good.
Yes, yeah, I was gonna say he wasn't seeing you as sick, obviously,
But he doesn't ever see me.
which is a good thing
Yeah,
because you're not sick.
right.
You're broken, just different. Broken
Yeah.
can be fixed. Sick is sick.
He just doesn't care enough about me to give me breaks or compassion. Which is kind of my trouble right now. So he has a problem every day. And something's hurting him every day. And I need to know how to treat it. And
Oh, still?
yes. He needs to come back and see me because he's a different.
Oh, with Kagan.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought you were talking about Colin.
Oh no.
He texted me earlier.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, he should. He would be good for my husband. Yeah, I think he just. I told him I thought it would be good for me to move out, mostly just because I thought maybe I'm exhausted and emotionally and all, and take care of another person.
Yeah.
I can't. I don't
Yeah.
want to.
I understand.
But I don't want to be separated from him. I don't have to be, but it seems like I have to be someday, and I'm going to be.
Well, if you both were healthy, it wouldn't have to be.
Right.
Right? Or even as you get healthier, you may find that need to be less.
Yeah.
Or you may decide that you need it more.
Yeah.
Right? But I doubt that you'll be where you are right now.
Yeah.
Right? So how long do you have before that all happens?
It's supposed to be by the end of the month. I have to just get a couple of things in for people. It should be easy.
Is that something you really want, you think?
There's a part of me that doesn't want it all. I've always wanted to live alone, but I've never actually.
Okay.
And so, yeah, it scares me a little bit. And I'm worried that if I create distance between Kagan and Maisie, that he'll be okay with it. So I feel like I might be damaging their relationship by being selfish. But that would be on him, not on me.
Yeah.
But if I could just make it work in the house, I can just make it work. But then I'm putting it all on me. I know that's not fair. That's
Well, share with me a little bit about what a day is like. So he goes to work. And how long's he gone?
well, he quit one of his jobs because they wouldn't let him call him sick. But he's usually gone from 8 until at least sometime between 8 and 10. Most nights it used to be like 11. And like even like if I'd come down and stay from St. Louis whenever I was here and I was pregnant, I'd just stay at his dad's house. And so now it's like mostly I'm alone all day. And if I make dinner, I take care of Maze all day, change all of her diapers, put her to naps, and she goes home for naps. If he comes home for a lunch break, she's usually napping while he's home. He doesn't have to change her diaper, he doesn't have to feed her, he doesn't have to do anything with her if she is awake. And if I leave the house, then I have to change her diaper before I go. So he doesn't have to deal with that. And preferably if I can get her down for a nap before I leave.
So does he say that, or have you just chosen that that's how it should be?
I've done it that way because whenever I leave and she has, or if I don't plan to do those things, he will ask me to do those things. So like if I don't plan to change her diaper before I leave, and I just assume that he's going to take care of her like a normal person, then he will ask me to do it. Like, oh babe, can you do this real quick before you go? And then I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm already.
So what would happen if you just said, "Oh, you're good. You
I'm
got
like,
that."
can't you do it? Yeah, I'll say, can't you do it? I have to go.
I wouldn't even say can't. I'd just say, you know what, you got that. right?
But then he wants to fight with me, and I would rather not have a fight.
I just leave.
I don't want to back and forth.
Just leave.
But that's what you're saying.
No,
And so then, if I really love him, then I don't want to be in a relationship with him if I can't have a conversation with him about changing the fucking baby's diaper.
no, that's not true. That's not true.
No.
That's just not true. Like, you know, everybody has personal responsibility.
But he doesn't. He doesn't
Well,
even have to, like, he'll call, like, he'd have
but
to
here's
go
the thing,
to work
honey.
in Kingdom City, and he'd call me and ask me to find his shirt for him, which he knows he needs every week. He has a whole week to find this shirt. And then I'm supposed to hand wash it, make sure it's clean for him, and drive him to Kingdom City and back.
Well, I
I
think
don't
that
know.
it's,
I'm just done with it. I don't want to do it.
yeah, I think it's just time. If you don't want to move, to declare, and you guys can come in here together at some point if you'd like, and let's just set up what the house is going to run like,
Yeah.
right? Because
It's just like, he doesn't even, like, rinse out his coffee cup, let alone do, like, dishes. He does too many, like, he might do, like, one load on one of his days off that he would never do.
well, he
on
doesn't look like the
works.
he doesn't look like the person that would be Mr. Tidy.
No, and I'm perfectly fine with that. I'm a messy person.
Okay.
Like, I keep everything piles and stuff and have stuff all over the place. I don't expect him to, like, come home and mop or anything. It's just like, I don't know, just like,
I guess
tug
so.
your
I guess
coffee cup so that you, like, I don't know, just do something so that it makes me feel like everything I'm doing isn't just for nothing and that nobody notices and that I have two
well, it
giant
almost
children.
feels like, you know, it almost feels like that you are living.
It feels more like I'm living alone, but then I have an extra child who comes and messes things up, and then I have to clean up after that child. And that child also wants me to drive him around. And then if I feel unsafe or unhappy or anything, if I need any emotional support, that child will fall apart, and I can't lean on him because he's an actual fucking child.
That's correct. I understand that. When you're living by yourself, you're not going to have anybody that's going to pick up any slack.
And I would much rather have somebody not pick up any
Okay.
slack and not make any messes
Perfect.
than come home.
I understand. I just want to
Yeah.
make sure you had some clarity there. You like because you were kind of feeling you don't really want to leave, but you have a whole lot of reasons why you do.
But the idealistic part of me doesn't want that. Because the idealistic part of me would love for us to just be living happily in a home with our daughter and not have to worry about it because we have a nice house, a car, and everything. And I like where we're at.
So would it be worth trying to create some strategy so that could be true?
Yeah. Because in my idealistic world, I'm not moving out. Which is,
I know. I keep saying that.
yeah.
Right. So that being said, that means that there's space because I know he loves you.
I just I don't feel, I don't see, I don't any kind of recognize any part of him that wants to put in with it.
Really? Because he talked about you a lot in here.
He loves me. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know he loves me.
Well,
And
you
he'll
have to
tell me I'm
realize
perfect.
he's never had that.
Tell me I'm great.
Yeah. He's never had that though.
No, he never has.
Like you had family. Like he's never really had that
No.
space of safety and intimate connection
Right.
that a child grows up with. He's not had that. So that being said, his idea of what that could look like is very different than yours. Now, could they come and meet in the middle? Yeah, I think they could.
Yeah.
If it's something you want.
I do.
Yeah.
I definitely want that with him. I would love that with him.
Okay. So that's worth saying, hey, let's go in and let's talk to Cherie together. And let's just, we can have that moment, that hour and a half be about okay, let's create some strategy, right? Because he didn't have parents that grew him up.
No. He didn't.
So
they were very stretchy.
Yeah. So he doesn't really know what that.
Yeah. They really just should have had kids. They were not kid people.
No.
They weren't.
Right. So I think that creating some guidelines might be helpful. Because I don't think he wants you to move out.
No, I don't think either one of us wants to be separated.
Okay. Right? And when you think about how much time you do get to be alone.
Yeah.
I mean, because I was very similar, right? And I married a man who worked from like 8 in the morning till 11 at night.
And
It's kind of the best of both
understand,
worlds.
like that's the way it's gonna be. Yeah, that's nice.
It was kind of the best of both worlds because I felt like I had my independence and I got to do whatever I wanted and was there on the weekends.
I like that. Like, I prefer for it to be that way. That's great. Like,
Yeah, so let's see what we can do about it.
it's just, yeah.
Something to think about.
No, I totally agree. I just don't want to turn down this opportunity and then him disappoint me. And me being idealistic again. And then I have to wait another 6 months in order to get into a house. It's true. I don't want to be burned by him again.
Well, what is being burned by him?
Him continuing to scream at me like he did today.
Not screaming.
The yelling at me whenever I'm having a panic attack because I'm not being conscious of his emotions and how my tone is going to affect his emotions. While I'm having an anxiety attack, I'm not aware of my tone enough for him. And he's trying to help me, so I should be nicer to him. During an anxiety
That
attack.
is a struggle for him. Is that he doesn't know what to do. And he does try to help you.
Yes, but
And
yelling at me at no point will ever help.
No, but like that's something that he talked about when he was in here was that, there was frustration around trying to help you and it not working. And, yeah. So I can understand that. But that's another place where if we could create strategy around that. Like when she's having a panic attack, this is what you need to do.
Just don't ever yell at me. I can't feel safe with him. I don't even want to sleep in the same bed with him whenever he yells at me having an anxiety attack.
Well, that makes sense.
Because he can't figure out how to help me. I have to figure out how to fucking console him on his emotions, on feeling, on how he feels about me having an anxiety attack. What?
No, I get it.
I get it.
Men are fixers.
What am I supposed to do with that?
Yeah. Nothing. We have to create strategy. I mean, that's a behavior he needs to shift. You're not going to get him. You're not going to get him to shift.
I know that.
But coming from the outside,
Yeah.
and if he's starting to come back in here, that's something we can all work on together.
Yeah.
As your amount of anxiety attacks dissipates, right? There's going to be.
But I just don't want it in the back of my head. If I do, while I'm getting better. So let's say I don't have a panic attack. I don't have a panic attack for like 2 months, and then I've been doing so much better, and I live on my own and everything. And then I'm like, okay, you can go stay. And then he comes home, and then he comes to my house, and I have an anxiety attack, and he ends up screaming at me. I would literally just break up with him because there's no reason for me to stay with somebody who's
No,
gonna act like that.
No, that's true.
So I don't know.
All we can do is say that if he's going to work on himself too, right, and he's going to do his personal work, just like you're working to not have panic attacks anymore, like he's working to get over his stuff too. And I'm not trying to talk you into it.
I just think it's dangerous for me, to accept a person into my life who's going to make me feel unsafe in my most vulnerable moments.
Except that's what PTSD people do.
Right. I know.
Right. So, now that doesn't mean he can't get better too.
Yeah.
Just like you're getting better, right? Like, that's not saying that. But, people with PTSD, like those moments make him feel very insecure. Yeah. And when we're insecure, we yell a lot.
Yeah. I just can't keep myself in that environment.
Oh, I understand.